Welcome back to the channel, folks, and to another battle report. This time we have Tom back on the channel, and he'll be taking his Soviet Forward Detachment against my Hetzer and Panzer Grenadiers. Here is Tom's list. Forward Detachment. So we've got the HQ, simple little SMG team, and then for infantry 7 Hero motor rifles plus a Commissar, 6 medium mortars. Now this is meant to be 5 Su-76s, folks. Apologies, I've never actually bought any 76s, Su-76s yet, so these are the same chassis, so they'll be fine in terms of how they play in the game. 2 Hero T-34-85 platoons, and that is the core formation. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 platoons plus the company HQ. So it's a fairly resilient formation. And then 3 Su-122s in support, 5 OT-34s, and 3 armour cars. So there's some well-armoured, hard-hitting, can bombard as well, assault guns. Armour cars for getting around things and being a nuisance, maybe flushing out ambushes, and flame tanks, which may or may not be any good in terms of the effect of the flamers, but they do at least have guns, folks. They still have 76mm guns, so they can still be shooting at my tanks even if there's nothing to flame. So there you go, Tom's Forward Detachment. Now here's my force, my 2 formations. First of all, the Hetzers, company command of 2 plus 2 platoons of 4. Then a Panzer Grenadier formation. So you've got company command and then a platoon of Panzer Grenadiers. We've also got 4 Panzer IVs and 6 mortar half-tracks. And then supporting them, 3 armour cars. One of them has the upgrade to the 2.7 SBZ-BZ thingy-majiggery anti-tank gun. And then 3 Wesps with the Panzer III Observer. So you get quite a lot of bang for your buck here, folks. But let's see if they can stand up to some super tough Soviets. The Hetzer is a small, compact tank destroyer. It's rated as careful, confident and trained, but it has a weaker counter-attack and assault rating due to it being an assault gun type weapon. Its last stand is a 3+, like other Germans, and it has a Stormtrooper rule. Now its main gun is a 32-inch range, 7.5cm, rate of fire 2, anti-tank 11, firepower 3, but it's forward firing and overworked. The MG incidentally only has a rate of fire of 2, and that is also forward firing. It also has a cross check of 5+, so it can be hard hitting, as you'll see on the side there. It's got good armour rating, but it can be a tricky vehicle to manoeuvre into firing position on the battlefield, so you have to think carefully about how you're going to use it. The ISU-122 is a Soviet heavy assault gun. It is rated as aggressive, confident, trained. It has a better last stand and weaker assault ratings, so the assault ratings are due to it being an assault gun and not a tank. It's got relatively good mobility for such a heavy vehicle, however, and it's very flexible in that it can fire bombardments or fire direct. That means it can soften targets up and move in, can deal with anti-tank guns at a safe distance, for instance, and whether it's firing direct or firing in bombardment, it hits hard with good anti-tank ratings, very good firepower, and it can also have an anti-aircraft MG added if you want to spend an extra point on the platoon, just to help drive off assaulting infantry or shoot up infantry hiding in their holes. Both of us opted for attack. We've both got attack-minded lists. So we rolled on the table and ended up with dust up. It's a mission we've done a few times now, should be quite familiar to the regular viewers, but if not, you can see how we have deployment zones that have to be in diagonally opposite quarters. Roll a dice to see who's the attacker. In this case it was me. And I would choose the deployment zone for myself. Now you notice that the reserves will arrive in the opposite or the adjacent deployment zone to your quarter. And in terms of special rules, it's delayed reserves for both sides and meeting engagement, which means whoever goes first, and that is determined by the roll of a dice, whoever goes first will not be firing bombardments using planes, and everything will be firing at its moving rate of fire, whether it moved or not. Victory condition is quite simple. Both sides have to take and hold an objective for that particular turn, according to the normal rules, to win the game. There's no true defender in this mission. Both players have to attack. So folks, we both chose attack. We rolled on the mission matrix and got dust up, which is a good mission because both have to defend and attack at the same time, so it's a good test for lists and such likes. So there's the deployment zones. You see it's got this sort of big circle cut out the middle and some interesting terrain right in the middle there. And then the objective zones. Placing the objectives. First of all, I, as the attacker, place one in my zone, put one there, and then Tom put one there, and then I put one there, and Tom put one there. So this game is the opportunity to put objectives right at the front edge of your deployment zone, which means you can't defend them from in front, which could be very nasty if you get assaulted and run away. There's no depth to your defence. You can't run back on and defend the objective, you always run away from it. And then in terms of deployment, I've got off table, I've got four Hetzers, 4 Panzer IVs and 3 armour cars. On table, Panzer Grenadiers, Panzer Grenadier Command, Observer, Hetzer Command, Hetzers, Wesps and Mortars. And then Tom used his spearhead to pick his ISU 122s there. We'll line of sight through that gap. The armour cars are still over there, no doubt going to be a nuisance. And then he's got his mortars, his infantry platoons around here with the company command there, and his T-34s over there. And in reserve, just checking, he has got another platoon of T-34s, that's Hero T-34s, his Su-76s and his flame tanks. So that's a solid chunk of armour, flaming armour, decent anti-tank coming on against me. So I'm going to have to defend and attack, as will Tom. That's the nature of this game, so it's quite interesting. That's us done, folks. We're going to roll off to see who goes first, get all these deployment markers off the table and come back at the end of whoever goes first, turn one. So turn one, and it is German. I've rolled the highest for to see who's going to go first. So in terms of movement, I have moved my Panzer Grenadiers behind this wood and moved my Hetzers up. The guys at the back can't shoot, so I'm being aggressive. Probably the worst possible thing you can do in this game because it's delayed reserves as well. So I had 4 shots on the T-34s needing 7s, and I got 2 hits, which is like unbelievable. But Tom was good on the saves. Front he got a 6 and then a 4, so all I managed was a bail. So he'll be in a good condition to fire back at me with his anti-tank 12. So it's game on anyway, folks. So Tom's turn 1. In terms of motivations, there was one T-34 to get back in and it did it okay, but it had the company command nearby to help if needed. In terms of movement, these have done across here, looking to get some shots down to here. No fire in this turn, but 3 across normally. Tom decided it's better to get them up there. The Hammer cars did a dash and a follow me down the road, and the T-34s moved over to the tree line where they could shoot at me with no concealment. And in terms of shooting, he got 4 shots and 3 hits, so it's not bad. But in terms of firepower, it's not so good. He had 2 potential kills and a bail, and he got 1 kill, 1 bail. So there's currently 1 dead, but still 2 have got to get back in. And then his mortars, he decided to put a little sort of area of denial down there, ranged in there, to prevent my Panzer Grenadiers from debossing into there without the risk of getting clobbered by mortars. So there you go, first blood to Tom. Oh, and still no reserves, remember folks, it's delayed reserves. German turn 2. So in terms of motivation, my Hetzers got back in, did the company command to help them. In terms of movement, I tried a blitz to get my company command in a better firing position, and it went terribly wrong. These guys are only trained, so it's not going to go great. And then in terms of movement, that was about it really. So firing, I first of all put a smoke bombardment down to block these guys. They've got the wood and the smoke, and also just to cover up too, so I could concentrate fire on the end too, because you know it's like to kill a platoon in one go can be tricky. As it was, I had a bit of bad luck and the 2 failed firepowers, otherwise these would all be gone. So there's still 1 tank who can definitely shoot back at me, and these guys can always blitz and get around the smoke and shoot me. I tried a shoot and scoot, but they rolled a 1. So it's not looking good for them. They're not doing everything that they should be doing. But we'll see what happens next turn. So over for, my mortars. Mortar half-tracks ranged in here. Got some hits on the infantry and on the mortars, and all were saved, but a couple of pins to deal with next turn. Soviet turn 2. So in terms of motivation, they bailed out, T-34 got back in, the infantry unpinned, the mortars didn't. In terms of movement, Tom didn't want to risk a blitz, so he kept the one that was in sight stationary and moved the other 2 up to give him 4 shots. The infantry moved up to here to get an assault range, and the armour cars are moving over to watch the objective. These guys have moved up. They don't have a lot of targets, so they're going to go and bully the poor old observer, who's not used to getting shot at, I have to tell you. And in that respect, they killed the poor guy. They got 1 hit and that was it. The T-34s were dead-eye again. 4 dice, 3 hits. And it was 2 dead, 1 bailed. His assault therefore went in. There was just a tiny wee bit of counter-fire coming from 1 half-track, got 1 hit, but no failed save. And then there was a couple of bits of to and fro where nothing really happened in the way of hits, but I broke off. The company command was there to help them, but if you roll a 1 or a 2, you're going away no matter what your motivation's like. So that meant the final Hetzer was captured, and then the guys are staying put for bulletproof cover. The rest of the guys have consolidated over to here to keep the string of command going back towards the company command for motivation, and that's Tom very much on the objective now, so I could probably do with some reserves. German turn 3. So in terms of motivation, there wasn't any, because anybody that potentially could have had a motivation is dead. In terms of reserve, didn't get any. I really could have done with some reserves that turn, folks, to either keep on the offensive or even just to hold my 2 objectives. In terms of movement, the Hetzers moved over here, the command. I've got 2 objectives to defend, remember folks, and then the half-tracks moved out. And then in terms of shooting, I put, with the mortars, I put a smoke barrage down to give my half-tracks a bit of cover, give them some time. And then in terms of other shooting, they managed to get a hit, but there's no chance of getting a kill against the guys. It'd be really unlucky. Over here, a few hits, well quite a few hits actually in shooting, but they were behind bulletproof cover, so I just came down to the assault where they ran in and killed them. They were too far away to get involved, so I'm just sticking behind that. Those Bunning Wrecks waiting on some nasty T-34s to come and kill me. So, over to Tom to try and close in for the kill. Soviet turn 3, in terms of motivations, the infantry unpinned, as did the mortars. There was nothing else. And in terms of reserves, T-34s have arrived. These are T-34-85s, and they are behind that house there, keeping themselves out of line of sight. The rest of the movement, one ISU stayed put to move back onto the hill to be shooting at the Hetzer command, and these T-34s moved behind here. The armoured cars are just staying put in the wheat field as a potential block against my infantry. And then in terms of shooting, the mortars ranged in over here but didn't get any hits, and they managed to get a 6 to hit one of these guys and killed it, which is a pity because I was kind of relying on them to keep me in the game. Right, so not a lot, but an important kill for Tom that turn. Jimmy turn 4. In terms of motivation, I don't think there was any concerns. I got a reserve on, Panzer IVs, and because I have, well, particularly because he died, I've nothing to defend that objective, really, apart from one Hetzer. So I've had to bring these on in a defensive way, and I'm trying to move them up to lose as few of them as possible on the way to defending the objectives. The Grenadiers just stayed put in the smoke, and then in terms of shooting, the bloody Hetzers couldn't get a 4 up to range in here, not the Hetzers, the Wesps to range in here, but the mortars managed to range in and kill a mortar. And that was it, folks. I've really just got to try and survive to see if I can hold on, I think. Let's see what Tom can do to me. Soviet turn 4, the mortars unpinned. The T-34 flame tanks came on from reserve, parked behind the hill. And in terms of other movement, these T-34s have moved up. IS-2 stayed put, armoured cars moved up. And then they have just edged around towards objective a bit more. Then in terms of shooting, ISU-122s ranged in here and killed a half-track. Didn't get the passengers, but the middle half-track's dead, and the mortars bailed a half-track. Some of these guys were hit by the 122s but managed to save. And then these guys here fired at those half-tracks and missed. But the Soviets are amassing. I've got 1 platoon of Hetzers and 3 armoured cars to come on the table, guys. It's not looking very promising. Jimmy turn 5. In terms of motivation, the bailed out half-track got back in and the infantry are still pinned. And that was it. In terms of reserves, I got just the 1 reserve. I didn't get any 5 or 6s, so 1 platoon came on. So the Marders have come on here. Marders. The Hetzers. See, I call the Hetzers Marders and the Marders Hetzers. In terms of movement, these guys, I don't want them sitting under that template because, to be honest, they'll get killed. Especially the way I've been rolling my saves for top armour lately. So they moved. The Panzer IVs are keeping dashing over there as much as they can, but the terrain's slowing them down. The mortars I kept put. And then in terms of shooting, the Wesps bailed out. I put it on the wrong one, but they bailed out one of the ISU 122s, and the mortars managed to get 3 firepower checks on the Soviet mortars and failed every one. So not very successful. So that'll be it for me. I'm just manoeuvring things around really this turn and see if I can withstand the Soviet onslaught when it comes. Soviet turn 5. So in terms of motivation, that ISU-122 didn't get back in, the mortars didn't unpin. The last reserves arrived and got onto the road with a cross-country dash to come over to defend that. These guys are moving over for the kill, getting up there to contest that objective, put me under pressure straight away. Flamers coming up, tried to follow me into the wood, didn't make it this turn. And these guys are coming for the kill. And then here he came in to get my Hetzer HQ. That was most of the shooting, and fortunately I managed to get a 5 for my save and ended up as a bail. So at least means my Hetzers don't run away this turn. And that's about it. And I think that may have been it for shooting, because everything else is just pouring forward to put as much pressure on me as possible, to mean I've got to point guns in as many different directions as possible. So I didn't think it'd make it to turn 6, guys, but over to turn 6, where my armoured cars will be arriving, and Tom will know all about it then. German turn 6. In terms of motivations, even when I re-rolled the bloody company commander didn't get back in. What a nightmare. The infantry unpinned, and the last reserves have come on. The armoured cars. You'll live to regret ignoring them, or not. In terms of movement, the half-tracks had to move back out. They've got to take the pain. The Hetzers did a cross-country dash and then a follow me. The follow me didn't work, but gave it a go. These guys did a wee blitz to get into range here, managed to get one hit, but it was a save. They've only got anti-tank 9, so it's not great. And then the Panzer IVs blitzed into position, managed quite a lot of hits, but only 2 kills out of it. And the mortars kept ranging in over there, didn't kill anything, had a chance to get bales on the Su-76s, but nothing. And then the only thing that died, apart from the T-34, was a base of infantry from this group here. Now, they just let rip with the machine guns, but they're about to get flamed to death. So it's not looking very promising there. Right, so let's see if Tom can draw things to a conclusion. Soviet turn 6, and it is a bloody mess, folks. In terms of motivation, let me see, the ISU got back in, the mortars unpinned, the only one T-34 got back in, but they made the last stand, and things closed in. They wanted to kill everything here around this objective, so infantry moved up, flamers moved up, Su-76s moved up to get shots on the half-tracks, T-34s moved up, infantry, everything moving up. So starting over here, the surviving T-34 managed to get a bale on Panzer IV. The ISU 122s managed to kill a Hetzer. Then this was just nuts. There was so much going on. These ended up using their main guns. So 5 main gunshots. The T-34s there added in some shots. Even the Su-76s on 6s managed to get some hits. Every half-track took damage in one form or another. 1, 2, 3, 4 bases were killed. 3 of them were killed when the half-tracks were destroyed. And then these 2 are bailed. But the mental thing is that because they were bailed, they guys don't have any dismounted crew. That guy's just sitting beside him to show he's an extra guy in there. They don't have any dismounted passengers, rather, to assault. And this one guy that was in range wasn't going to make it with counter fire that would come in. So loads and loads of casualties for the Germans that turn, but not in a way that was suitable for the Soviets to get that vital game-winning assault in. So I'm still alive. I wouldn't say I'm still in the game, but I'm still alive. But Tom has just got an absolute wall of steel coming down on me. Well, the Germans are somehow still here for turn 7. So in terms of motivation, it was terrible, folks. It was terrible. 1 half-track got back in. Infantry didn't unpin, even with the company command supporting them. Even with protected ammo, Panzer IV didn't get back in. Company commander again. He's rolled 4 dice now. He's still not got back in. In terms of movement, I tried to... Well, I managed to blitz with these to move them up. Tried to blitz him, failed. I moved my company commander over into him, because he's bailed out. You can take over another tank. If that rule's wrong, folks, please let me know. There was some remounting done here. That guy couldn't, because he was pinned, couldn't move towards the half-tracks. The guys have just moved towards that objective. And then in terms of shooting, I can't quite remember. I think he killed a T-34 Flamer, and he killed 1 T-34, I think, and I think they finished off another one. And then over here, 3 other Flamers and 1 bailed from the Marders. And then the infantry had a go at them, managed to kill the commissar, of nothing else but the commissar. And the mortars have just continued shooting. It's not doing much, like, but they've nothing else they can see just now. And they killed another base. Excuse me, dry throat. Killed another base of mortars. So the game is still on. very much so. Tom's got to come in now and try and give me the coup de grace, just at least push me off that objective. Soviet turn 7, so motivation, he didn't get back in, but he didn't run away. The infantry unpinned, the mortars didn't unpin. In terms of movement, the Su-76s have come up to try and finish off some half-tracks. Two of the T-34 stay still to do the same, and one has moved up onto the hill to have a go at these armoured cars and contest the objective. These guys stayed put to get some shots down range. And then in terms of shooting, let me see, I lost one half-track, but the guy survived, all of them, which is lucky because there was 3 in there. This guy in the wood got killed though. These guys both got hit by these big nasty things, and so it was pretty much instant death. That leaves just the commander and a bailed out tank and the martyr formation, though a formation of 2 is no much bloody use anyway. And then over here, Tom chanced to win it by getting an assault in, but I had 6 dice to hit him and I hit him 6 times, which was a bit of luck on my part. Otherwise those 4 guys could have seriously caused casualties with their 2-up assault on me. So it's still game on, but it's whether or not, still no way is this going to be about whether or not I can win the game. It's whether or not I can get a draw. German turn 8. We're still here, but the Marders liked it. The bailed out one didn't get back in, even with a reroll, and then they failed their, oh no, that was it. Oh no, failed his last stand, even with a reroll, and that was it. So they're gone. The Panzer IVs have moved, the bailed out one got back in, sorry, and I've moved them around here. They were taking shots up the line, and with them plus the Wefts, they killed 1, the Wefts killed 2 of the 76s. Now, that got killed by a Faust. The mortars got a couple of hits, but there were saves on the mortars over there. And then this wee guy went round, got a hit on the side with his SBZB, blah, 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 and a tank gun, but Tom managed to save. It's very cruel, very rude of him to do so. So, the game's still on. Tom's still got a chance to snatch a victory here. Soviet turn 9, motivations, let me think what happened. Unpinned and passed the last stand. Unpinned. I think that was it, really. And in terms of movement, the guys moved up to get shots on the Panzer IVs. They stayed put, tried to bring them around here, but only one made it. And then everything else stayed still. In terms of shooting, it hit him, but only bailed him. But these guys I think are reluctant, so let's not expect too much from them. In terms of shooting, there was a few hits here from like the armoured cars. The mortars failed to range in, but no kills. But these guys, again, 3 shots, 2 kills. That's what they did against the Marders before. They needed 4s against the Marders, but they needed 6s here because of concealment and slow firing. But they killed 2. There's only 1 on the last stand. Panzer IV, which may well run away next turn. So there's not much of us Germans left. German turn 10. So in terms of motivation, he didn't get back in, but they made a last stand. Everything else was fine, he made his last stand. So we came up, shot that, killed it. A Faust bailed that, which was lucky. Kill would have been nicer. The West continued firing here and got a couple of hits but no failed saves. These guys finished off that infantry unit, and then I did an assault, guys. 2 bases going in here, fluffed. They did 3s, fluffed. He came in, needed 5s, passed his cross check first, needed 5s, killed 1, and then I bloody ran away. Can you believe that, guys? With a reroll, I should point out. So he passed the cross check again, and now he's pointing at that Panzer IV going, oh, another Panzer IV, eh? So, over to Tommy to do something this turn, because to be honest I don't fancy playing past turn 10. Soviet turn 10. I don't know if there was any motivations there, I can't quite remember. It's turning into a marathon. The armour cars, one go over the wall and they've kind of swung round. So this is to negate any bulletproof cover. Company command moved into here. He stayed put to shoot the poor Panzer IV, which you can see it did. Turret flew about 30 foot in the air. There was a few hits in these guys, but not many, and certainly no kills. That half-track got destroyed by T-34s. It got bailed by them, the SUs, 76s, but the commander survived, made 2 passenger saves, and they rolled 2 ones to hit those comedy armour cars. So he tried an assault with that, but there was 2 Fausts in there, one pinned, one unpinned. He took a hit, that ended the assault. I'm going to give it one more turn because he's got a chance of breaking me here, so we'd rather give him that chance. There's no way I'm going to win, but there's a chance that Tom could win. Oh, sorry, unless we get comedy armour cars doing something, but I don't think so. Okay, so turn 11, we're going to give this one last turn, folks, one last turn. In terms of movement, I've just try and kill some of them. He got back in, by the way. He didn't. He got back in. And chance to hit him, be glorious winner, reading a 3, rolled a 2. Over here I just dug in, kept my head down. And they guys there managed to kill a base of mortars with machine guns. The armoured car fired down here. One of them to get them maybe onto a check, but failed to hit. The Wesps, oh my goodness, ranged in 3rd attempt, 4 things under it, never got any hits because of the 3rd attempt. So there you go. We're going to give Tom a chance to break my formation, push me off that objective. We'll see what he can do. Soviet turn 11, and we're going to make it the last turn. So Tom just stuck everything around my remaining guys and did a bit of shooting, not a lot of success. Pinned the company command, but otherwise they were still okay for counter fire with a pinned Faust and an ordinary Faust, and they went in. So here they go, the wacky races armoured cars, needing 3s to hit them with Faust to blow them to bits, and they both missed. So they ran in and actually killed the base infantry before they then got hit by 2 Fausts in assault. I then broke off that way, which left only the company command to go in for assault, and they got in. There was 5 dice of counterfire, 1 hit, which was saved. They came in, killed 2 bases, and then I counter-attacked, killed 1 base, and then it was just the company command squared off against each other. Tom needing a 2, and he rolled a bloody 1. And then I passed my motivation, hit back on a 3. So that's just 1 company commander left in there. I don't know, maybe a draw's a fair result at the end of the day. We'll have a chat and hopefully we can get Tom on camera for a recap, but for some reason the computer's saying no. Nothing to do with streaming, it's not even anything that's streamed, it's just saying no, so we're going to try and get that arranged. Otherwise we'll have a recap and talk over what the hell's left. So there you go folks, it was a draw, but it was a proper bloody draw. It wasn't just a fair fight mission that fizzles out because nobody's prepared to get stuck in about it. So I would say it's probably actually a moral victory for Tom because my list was wrong. Just got to read the books. Too casual at times. Anyway, we're going to Tom next, but first, my impression of the game, well, I wanted to play aggressively and I chose deployment zones to allow that. My plan was for my Hetzers to hold any T-34s or tanks on that flank, so my reserves would come in, hit them in the flank, and then I could push on towards the objective. But unfortunately the Hetzers weren't up to the job. They're not super tanks. They certainly should have been able to take on 4 T-34s by themselves, but the T-34s just hammered them. Just kept hitting and hitting and hitting. And then that just left me, as it turned out, 1 Hetzer. So I was on the defensive from then, just trying to hold on, and Tom built up his strength to then go for the objectives. as I was discussing with Tom later, I think he shouldn't have waited quite so long. He should have just gone for it. And I think he should have put everything in the far away objective, so my Panzer Grenadiers wouldn't be able to influence the outcome. The remaining Panzer IVs managed to destroy 2 platoons of T-34s, but they got destroyed themselves. Had that happened on the far side, I think Tom would have been able to, with his survivors, just take that objective because my infantry couldn't leave the near one. But there you go, folks, another run out for the Hetzers. As I said, they're not super tanks, so they are going to take casualties, but I do hope to use them again. I'm not thinking they're super tanks. I think in another game they might have a different outcome against similar forces. But we'll go over to Tom. But folks, before we see his thoughts on the game, stick down in the comments below any thoughts you might have yourself about victory conditions and drawers. Drawers? You wear drawers. You wear drawers. You fight draws. You know what I mean. Right, Tom, there you go. Marathon game. A lot longer than we would normally play for, but we kind of wanted to try and play that out to a finish without either person just doing something daft, and in the end it came down to a 5 and 6 chance of you winning the game, or your company command hitting my company command on a 2 and you rolled a 1. Otherwise it was your game. So what did you think of the game and your list?
Yeah, I think the list did quite well. Lots of combined arms. So I'd say the main weakness with it is it can be fragile. But luckily the luck was on my side that fragility didn't really come out too much. The ISUs did really well. They did what I wanted them to do, which is kind of like bully their way through the middle and just really pick on your armour. They rolled consistently quite good, so I was lucky on that. I guess it was that ultimate showdown where I managed to get the flame tanks and everything shooting your half tracks, and I just couldn't kill the right things at the right time, so to speak, and then they got absolutely walloped the next turn. And then in amongst the wreckage and everything, your Panzer Grenadiers just stubbornly held on for dear life, Well, no, but I'd say even beyond dear life. At that point, they're standing around for sheer will and determination to stare down death in the face, it seemed, because there was just hordes of Russians swarming in.
It can be like that with Panzer Grenadiers.
Yeah, it's a fun game and a climatic showdown between the two commanders, and you could have won it with that armoured car at any point as well. So
the comedy armoured cars with a 27mm anti-tank gun on the side, knocking on the side of a T-34. That's when it could actually hit the bloody thing,
Yeah.
But that would have been an unfair end, I think, to the game. I think you probably were worth the win there. You did get a couple of good turns of good shooting initially, but after that it was fairly even. I had a couple of rubbish turns, but they evened out a little bit later on, so I think it was a good fair game, and probably the Soviets were more deserving of the win, but I can't play any longer.
No, neither can I.
It's 12 turns, of online. That was brutal. But anyway, good game. Thanks for playing. I think everyone will enjoy watching. And
I hope so, yeah.
If I don't see you before the 30th, then we'll see if there's any other online games that we can do. But thanks for coming along, Tom.
All right, thanks for having me.
Right, bye-bye.
It's a pleasure. Bye.
So there you go, folks. Thanks to Tom again for playing. Thanks to you guys for watching. Thanks to all the subscribers out there. And if you'd like to subscribe, it'll help us to build the channel and keep this content coming to all the people who enjoy the game. And don't forget to hit the bell button so that you know when the next videos are out. We do aim to get at least one out a week, sometimes two. We'll see you on the next one, folks.